Hello all, welcome to .NET Core Conference 2020. Today we are going to see performance or load test of your .NET Core application using Azure Insights and Azure DevOps. So myself, Jaikma Balasubramaniam. So I work as a product lead at Hubfly. So I'm a Microsoft certified trainer and a certified developer and a frequent blogger and speaker. So here is my Twitter handle, so you can get in touch with me in this Twitter. So I'll be able to respond to you on a frequent manner. Before we get into the session, so let's thank the sponsors and the organizers to organize this great event. So basically, we have a lot of sponsors around the world who made this event a great successful. And I would like to extend my thanks to sponsors and the organizers to give me this great opportunity and for organizing this event. Okay, let's get into the session. Okay, so this is going to be our agenda for today. So like what is performance testing and what we need, why we need the performance testing or load testing, what are the types of testing that are available, how we can plan the testing, like what are the steps that you need to look at to plan your testing and to get a expected output to make your application a perfect one and launch it in the production without any issues, and how to execute the plan. So in an entire application lifecycle, this testing is plays a key role because that enables you to deliver your application to the users without any issues, and also which enables you to handle the unexpected scenarios as well. So for every process, there will be something like planning, implementing, and execution. Right. So today we are going to see this all three phases. Let's see our first topic, like what is performance testing, that why we need to look at it. So performance testing is something like when your workload, specific workload is given to your application, how it behaves in different aspects, like how the availability of the application is, what is the scalability, and how the throughput is of that application, how reliable the application is. That determining and identifying or measuring or evaluating all these steps which comes under the performance testing specifically. Why we need this? Basically, the availability in the sense when we give multiple workload to your system, either the workload can be to your server or the database or anything. In that scenario, how our application behaves, how the availability, whether it is available all the time or it is not available, that means not responding or not replying properly to the application or what, because we may end up with some scenarios like for example, any festive seasons, if you are building some e-cart based application, if there is any festival season occurring, then you will be getting more and more hits, right? Because I will be releasing the offers, and there will be some more transactions will get involved. So all these comes under availability. So basically, it tests how available your application is when the workload is more. The second one is scalability. Scalability is nothing but because we don't know how many users will come in, how many instances that we need to run our application. So the app should scalable. That's scalable. It shouldn't be manual because we don't know. We may expect some time frame that in this time frame maybe some users would come in, but we need to manage like the scaling. It has to be auto scale or it has to be auto scale down. That means whenever a load comes in, the instances or the required hardware or software has to be automatically scaled up and cooled down. So this scenario we can identify only in this performance and load testing only, because when we do the development, we'll be having some 5 to 10 users accessing the system, so the application will work smooth. But when it goes to the live production, something really like an e-cart or any social media kind of application, or if it's a business app that is being used by a huge organization like a big MNC companies, then in that scenario you should need that is measured within this performance testing. And next, coming to the throughput. So the throughput is nothing but how many number of transactions and how many number of processes that an application can handle per second. That means the amount of transactions or process produced in a given time during this test. For example, the throughput in the sense, for example, if the user is making 100 transactions within a second, then that is called throughput. Determining that throughput and evaluating that value is comes under throughput. Okay, okay, next comes to reliability. So reliability is nothing but it's a kind of test so that checks whether the software can perform any failure-free operation in a specific period of time. That means we are going to do these many kind of testing, like we are going to increase the load in the user perspective, or also we are going to increase the hits by in the throw to get the respective throughput, and we are going to trouble the database server, yes, the system server which is hosting the web app, everything. So how reliable the system is, how it works with a failure free, that means fault free. That is measured using this reliability case. The reliability testing is nothing but the software that we assure that the product is a fault free and it is reliable whenever the purpose is needed. That thing we need to test. So all these major scenarios comes under this performance testing. So if you're going to build, even if it is small application, you may end up, for example, you may assume that you'll be getting only 100 users, but you may end up with 1,000 users. If you already know that you will get 1,000 or 2,000 users, then you'll be end up with, in some cases, you'll be end up with 10,000, 20,000 users. In all these, to tackle all these scenarios, is called. That's why we'll be doing all these tests in this performance testing. So coming to next, so why we need this kind of performance or load testing. So as we discussed earlier, like basically to handle unexpected load at times, we may get unexpected load. As I given some example, or else for example, if we take this COVID as a situation, now everyone is working from home, right? So more applications are accessed in the online. We get more hits into the internet, and most of the applications are used frequently than we are in the office. So this is one of the unexpected scenario, and we'll be getting load much during these times. And also it helps to brings out how the optimization is included, or how the optimization is missed. For example, by doing these kind of testing, so it brings out if there is any optimizations missed out in our application at the coding level or at the database level, like doing indexing like that, or if there is any memory leakage at the server level, or coding, or any kind of optimization, if it has to be implemented and if it is missed, we could be able to identify in this performance testing. Let's say we are taking is one of the part of all the applications. And the next one is it helps to validate the hardware availability. As I said earlier, this comes in the scalability. So the scalability, in the sense that your software and the hardware has to support whenever you get some these kind of unexpected scenarios. So this performance testing will help to evaluate this scenario, and if it want to be prepared, or if you want to add more hardware or software at the early, even at the early stages, to handle the stress applied to the system, either at any level of any level, it helps to identify such scenarios. And also it helps to detect the application failures in any scenarios. For example, if we have written something to handle, for example, if you take any query perspective, we may have written something like it will return only 1,000 users. Then we may have written in the business logic itself to return some top 1,000 rows or top 100 rows, something like that. But if you get more than 5,000, 10,000 users unexpectedly, are you going to change the code at that time, the running production system, and block the users? That we cannot do that, right? So our code has to be that much optimized. So it should be ready to handle any kind of users, and it has to be more generic. So these kind of application failures, when the user loads increase or the performance is increased, or the load is increased, we should be able to detect it. Also, at the same time, it helps to detect whether the application is able to tackle the traffic, more network traffic that comes into the machine at the same time, or over a period of gradual time. Suppose if for example, usually we will be having some distributed system. So when we get more loads, it will distribute it, and we will have the load balancers kind of setup. If we have enough that kind of setup implemented, then however how many users comes in, the server should be able to manage the traffic. So that kind of testing we should be able to do it over here. So how much traffic that it handles, and whether it is load balancing the incoming request properly and distributing it to evenly to across the system or not, that we should be able to detect it. So that's why we are we will need of performance testing. Performance and load testing is nothing but there's a slight difference with both of them. So performance will we will performance and load and the other type of testing we will look at the next slide. Let's get to the next slide. Okay. So as we discussed, so this is here is a short diagram of about what are the types of performance testing that can be incorporated that are considered in real scenarios. Like the first one is performance testing and load testing and stress testing. There are a lot of testings involved in the development and the testing phases that are followed by different organizations and different in its different perspectives. But there are some standard testing like unit testing has to be performed at the dev stage itself. That means the developer has to do that unit testing, and he has to do some smoke testing as well. These kind of testing ensures the application is working fine at the basic level. Apart from this performance and load testing, it has to fulfill the requirement like functionality testing, then whether it handles very small amount of load or whether it is properly connecting to the DB and switching between the environments. These and all has to be handled by the developers. But below are the ones that makes the application really a production ready application. There comes these three types of testing: performance, load, and stress testing. Because even though if your logic is working fine, if your application is moving to the production, there the real key is, that the real problem could occur, because all the data will be live. Because in development phase you may not have access to the development related data, and you may not don't know how many users will come over there, how the load will be, from where and all the users will be using the system. That's also another major key role, because you don't know when you're doing development, probably you'll be sitting in one location and your teammate may in another location. You should be able to test some 2 to 3 applications by accessing the application. But once it goes live, you don't know from where and all the users will be accessing. But specifically in this pandemic situation, everyone split it up over across the world to their hometowns from the office locations, right? In these scenarios, you cannot assume that okay, this application will be accessed only from, for example, in some India, and it cannot be used in US, something like that. You cannot assume, right? Suppose the migrations are happening all over the world using this COVID. That scenario, it has to be accessible from all the location. There should not be any blockers for any users in that case. So that and all covers under this kind of testing. So let's get into each section a bit deeper, not that much, but let's get into a bit deeper. Like the performance testing is nothing but it will test how speed the application is, how fast it is responding to the incoming request. Because we cannot make the user to wait for more for a longer time, right? Basically an application has to respond within 3 seconds, and in going for it to be reduced to some 1 point something like that. So how speed the application is and how scalable the application is, when more requests come, how it's dividing, how it is balancing its instances, that has to be tested. Like, and how stable the application is when more requests come, whether the application is hanging over or responding late, or whether there is any issue like business logic, like functionality wise handling the more load, like checking the stability of the application. These kind of testings will perform in we will be doing in the performance testing. The one other advantage over here is we can run it how many times that we want, because it is very cheap to use with the less volume of users. The performance testing doesn't come under loading with multiple users, because that will come under load testing. The performance testing is specifically to test the main aspects like speed, scalability, and stability. The next one is load testing. The load testing is nothing but it is tested by overloading the servers with multiple user hits, as the name itself indicates, overloading the application. For example, if your application is supporting 100 users, then we will need to test it by overloading with 1,000 users or 2,000 users. So it should be capable for that. But at the same time, it is not advisable to test the 100, 500 supported application to test with 50,000 users, because obviously we don't have that requirement. We can extend this load up to some extent. But we cannot go beyond that and test 50,000 or 1 lakh users, right? Because the software requirements that we have procured will not match with that. So we can go some actions like 10% or 15% at the same time. That thing we need to be concentrated. And also how the database handles the load. But because if you put in more data in your database, then in that scenario also, apart from these instances, when your data is getting dumped into your database, your performance may decrease when the user load get increased. Like there should be a proper indexing has to be happened, proper query has to be written, proper filtering has to be applied when you have dumped thousand ten thousand of data, how your application is behaving. This kind of testing will detections we will be doing in load testing. And also it helps to detect how the server can handle the load and how it can distribute the load to equalize the performance. So as I said, it comes under like load balancer. For example, you may have like two load balancing system which equally split the responses, requests. But if you get some more 1,000, 5,000 things, then you need to be concentrate on that also, right? Your system has to be, in that case, your system will get slowed down. So it's always advisable to manage that properly and to always you should have some backup plan to add another instance immediately. Azure is a great place for that because you can write some rules like auto scaling, so it can extend to itself automatically whenever more request comes in. Also, this load testing plays a great role to make the application a production-ready application, as I said, because it detects whether the app is recoverable to meet expected SLA and have been expected time. Because these kind of application, why we are doing this kind of performance or load testing, we are dealing with money, right? Money is very conscious. So when we move to the live, the users cannot accept that okay, the application is slowing down, and because time is more valuable than money. So that we cannot ask the user to wait from performing any very important action. That's why we're doing all kind of these kind of testing to meet the supported agreement and the application set up within an expected time. We should not leave the users idle for the long time. That will get away your application's credibility, always your also your organization credibility as well. Next comes stress testing. So stress testing is nothing but creating some unexpected scenarios beyond the limits by taking it to touch something like touching its ceiling. So for example, as I said earlier, if your application is capable to support 100 users, it can support up to 500 users, that you should have written something like that. In load testing, probably we'll be testing something to 1,000 users. But what if some 2,000 users comes in? That is really an unexpected scenario. We will not be ready for that, but that also has to be tested, right? Because you cannot come and rewrite the code again in this modern era. There is nothing like okay, you go and do it from the front, because we have everything like rewritable things, reusable components, and everything automated. We need to utilize these features, right? So this kind of testing comes under stress, stressing the application beyond its limits. So it helps to detect the disk space, whether available disk spaces are ready, whether any limitations at the hardware level, or also it opens up and shows us the expected situation. So where the application can fail, where the application can fail, not will fail, where the application can fail. So we may assume that okay, these are the scenarios that application can fail. So then we can put in some fixes, like what will happen if the if overstress comes to the server or database. These kind of things has to be tested. That comes under the stress testing. Yeah, I understand. So it may be slightly confusing because more or less all the things are testing the same, but there is some slight difference. So we will show some demo, and we will get some more instances so that you get some better idea. Okay. So as I said, now we have analyzed and discussed what is performance testing and why we need that, all those stuff. Now it's time to plan something before we get into testing and execute it. It's time to plan, right? So before starting anything, the planning is important. Below are the things that we need to consider before we starting the testing. Like we need to define the acceptance criteria. The acceptance criteria is nothing but the page. It's defining what scenarios are acceptable if the test case is passed. That is called acceptance criteria. For example, if you take a page load speed, the number of user hits or user loads or number of processes to handle, you need to define all these acceptance criteria, either how the page load speed should be, how many hits it can handle, how many user loads it should handle, how many number of processes it should handle. All these you have to define. That comes under the acceptance criteria. And we need to identify the scenarios, user scenarios to test. For example, defining the most used scenario. For example, if you take any application logging into the landing page, and landing page somewhere where the user will go to. The user will go to, if they usually go to the product page, then you need to handle this case. That is called happy path. That means user will be using this frequent page section or page flow frequently. So there should not be any blocker or errors or issues with this scenario, right? Because the happy path in the sense user will be frequently using. In this scenario, we should not have any problems. But I'm not saying that okay that can be a problem with other areas, but we need to be more concentrated on these kind of happy scenarios. So that scenarios we need to identify where the user will cover the most places, and also or else we need to pick apart like it should cover maximum of all the areas of the application. Then again creating the target loads. As I said, you need to understand the business requirement, how many loads could come. Then you need to create the loads that are expected to come, also that are unexpected to come. Like we do the load testing and stress testing plays a role over here while creating the target loads. Because your expected scenario would be some 100 to 200 users, then your unexpected scenario will be 500 or 1000 or 2000 users is your unexpected scenarios, right? That kind of loads you need to define it before you get into the testing. And also you need to have the expected results for those kind of loads. Then you can evaluate from the system from the return the result from the system. Then you need to identify the metrics that has to be captured. For example, defining a scale based on the business requirements, what metrics should come as an output to meet the expected results. That means that your metric should keep on changing based on your application evaluation. But whenever you do these kind of evaluation, you should have that metrics ready. Because today you may have some value for the metrics, but if you take the same application after 4 to 5 months, then the scenario will be different over there because you may have different business requirements, the application lifecycle may get changed, you may have added multiple pages or functionality, or the happy path that we defined earlier will get changed. These kind of scenarios will pop up. So you should be ready for that. Also the metrics has to be defined at different levels, like not only related to the application functionality, it has to be at the network level, at the platform level, like database, and that also at the application level. It's not only depends on the how application behaves, it also written the metric itself of how your hardware components or server components in the background is resulting. Like you need to evaluate the database, you need to how many load is over there, and how metric you should get, what is the response time that your database should take alone without considering the application. Same like that, how fast the server should have responded. So you need to have those metrics either in your numbers or in the logs to check that out. And finally, you need to define the testing models, right? So we have defined the criteria, we have identified the test, and we have defined the loads, we have defined the metrics. Now we need to define the models, how we are going to test it. So that there are different kind of, even though we have three major kind of testing, there are different kind of models that is available to do the testing, like URL testing, multi-loader testing, then testing with specific custom objects. These kind of testings are available. So you need to choose the right model which is comfortable for you or which is required for the business application. Okay, the one major thing that we'll be doing this performance load testing is availability. This is the major thing that we need to test. So how because this single term covers maximum of areas, like uh, how available the uh, how available the application is when the more load is taken into this. So that's called availability test. So basically, it has two major things like URL ping or multi-test web test. So basically, the URL ping test is to monitor the availability of any website. I know that you will be pinging in your command prompt or something like that. If you're a developer or if you're a network system guy, you'll be pinging something whether this application is responding to us or not. That's called pinging. That means sending the request and just getting the response. This comes under URL ping test. So you can do that either in the DevOps or in the app insights. This mainly helps to check the availability on a frequent load, not only single time, on a frequent load. Also, it uses the more advanced HTTP request functionality, so to validate whether an endpoint is responding or not for the request that we are giving it, whether the application is responding or not, it is being handled over there. So that's the one thing that you're considering in your URL ping test. And the next one is multi-step web test. So the multi-step web test, it uses majorly for a single page application like Angular based application, something like that, not for a server related application, because we need to define a tracker from one page to which page next where we need to go. The why it fits for maximum it is fit for single page application, because the name itself states that it is a single page. The redirections will not have any server loads, so it is easy for you to track the application flow. But in the case of the either case, not a single page application. In that case, each and every page there will be a server load will be there. Then you may launch the track. That's why it is highly recommended to use this multi-step web test within the single page application. So, okay, now the URL ping test is mainly advisable to use within the where the multiple locations are involved. For example, if your application is used in all over the world, in that case, you can use this URL ping test to check whether the application is accessible from all over the application, or also at the same time whether it is available even if load is high, because in this kind of worldwide scenarios, you may be having the servers split up in different regions, right? That's called regional thread, something like that. Then in all your regional threads has to be respond back properly. That has to be tested. Okay, let's see how. So we have covered like we have analyzed what is testing and how we can plan for it and what are the testings that we can involve. Now let's see how we can implement the same within your application, like using either as the DevOps or the application insights. So here I have attached a small screenshot like how we can do that using Azure DevOps or load test. I have a separate demo also planned for this, so you should be able to, we can also interact over there as well. But before that, I just want to give you a small tip of this. So this is how you can use Azure DevOps for load test. If you open up your DevOps, then in your left pan, you will be having a option called the load test and the test plan. You can use this load test to create your specific loads. And if you look at the screen over here, the average response time of an application is captured, and how number of users is loaded is 25. It's a small application, so it's loaded just for 25 users, and it is an automatic one. And how many requests are processed per second, how many failed requests are there. I don't have any failed requests as of now, so that's really great. Okay, so this is how you can do the load test, and also you should be able to do other kind of testings as well. So I will show you how where the option is, how we can go to that real-time application. Okay, now we should have got a question like why there is a cross mark over this screen. I have placed it intentionally. Basically, this load test in Azure DevOps been deprecated, so it's going to get away from your DevOps platform in near future. It is already planned in March 2020 itself, but due to this COVID reasons, it is still available. So the major reason for remove, that's why I have placed into mark just like an alert, so that if you are still using this kind of load testing within your DevOps, you can go ahead and change it over to the other recommendations given within Microsoft site itself, or else you can move to Azure App Insights, which where there also you can do this kind of performance and availability tests and all, and you can get the enough metrics to see how the application is performing, and you can write enough alerts as well. So please make a note of this section. So you don't, it is not advisable to use DevOps for this test, but still, if we have still running, please plan it accordingly. It will take some time to remove it. Now let's see how we can do the same in Azure Application Insights, which is an alternative for this one, right? However, the Microsoft is deprecating one thing, we should be having some alternate within Microsoft itself, right? We do have some alternate in Azure App Insights, right? Yeah, the one thing that you need to consider here is why the Microsoft is moving this DevOps and the load test. So maximum of applications we have everything moved to Azure App Insight. So we can do your host your application order and manage your application order. Everything can do over there itself. Okay, this is how your app insights will look like to perform your performance test. So if you have create your dot application insights, if you already have application insights, not a problem. You can map it with any application, or if you while creating any app service, you'll be getting your own application insight for the specific app service. So this is how you can look. So if you see at the top, that's a button called app test. So using this only, we are going to perform the test, and once the test is implemented, so it will run the test for us. You don't need to do anything. As I said, everything is in the cloud and everything is automated. You just, what you are going to do is you just going to create a test, and you're just going to run it and watch the result and enable and monitor the results. That's the only thing that you're going to do. It will give you all the plots with the need data, which helps you to analyze the performance of the application and get some metrics and give it to the respective team and update the application and redeploy it, and you can test it again. So let's see the same by using the demo in real time, so that you get some better understanding, right? Okay, for that, let me close the screen share and open it up again, because I have shared only the one thing. Yeah. Here it is. Here's my application. So what I'm going to do is, so I have already created a .NET Core application, so which I have hosted using the Azure App Service. If you see, I have already created a .NET Core application, so which I have just created a sample application. I don't have any real business logics within this application. I just created it and I have hosted it using Azure App Service. If you look at the screen, I hope you are able to see the screen again. So if you look at the screen, I have hosted it in using an Azure App Service, and this is just a web application. So let me run it so that you can also see it. It's just a web application which looks something like this. So I have hosted it in Azure App Service, and here is our app service. When I create app service itself, I have got my application insight created for this. So I'm just going to use the same application insight for this one as well. Let's get into our app insight. Yeah, it's loading. So here is our app. I have defined it something like this. My application is central location, and it's loading our app insight. Yeah, we got it. So this is our app insight look like. So let me give some basic intro about app insight. Application insights will give you all the information of metrics or request response, how the application behaves, and where and how it is being accessed, what are the failures, all kind of information about a specific app you can get within this application insight. The name itself indicate that one, right? So if you go to the application dashboard, you get a complete overview, a complete chart data of your application, the reliability, the how the app is responsive, what is the server response time, how what are the failed requests, and how many users are accessing it, what is the usage. You can get everything within this application dashboard, like the response time, browser access, and you can see a lot of features are already available. If you want to edit anything also, you could be able to do that. Now if you look at here, it is being tested with only one user because I am only accessing here. I have not given this URL to anyone else in the world, like to my colleague or no one I have given. So that's why it's showing only one user, but it will not be the real case, right? We need to test it with multiple users. Then only we will be able to know the stability or availability of the application. That comes this kind of testing. That's why we are here to watch this session. So let me go back to the app insights. Yeah, if you open up the app inside, you can find the application map in the left hand side. So which will I think I have more data is available. The last tab. I have created this. Okay, there's no data available. So fine. Okay, fine. So if you see the live metrics, and we'll be getting some live metrics over here since I have not enabled the feature. It is just showing a demo page, but you'll be getting. You should be able to see the live data, not only the already tracked data like last 1 hour or last 4 hours, something like that. You should be able to see some live data as well, how the application is behaving. Okay, now let's get into our actual scenario, like how we can perform the those kind of availability or performance test, like URL ping or multi-page, multiple track tests like that. It's just simple as it is. So once you open up the application insight, just come to the availability section in the left navigation and just click over this add test option. I have already created something, so it is for the same application. It is tracking something like this. Let's create a first test over here again. Just giving the test name for the user understanding purpose, demo one test. And as we discussed in our slides, here are the two test types that we can use and test it, like URL ping test or multi-step test. If it is a multi-step test, you need to upload the recorded steps. You can record the stuff using any visual or something like that. Then you need to upload. Here now we are going to see the URL ping test, right? So the URL ping test, we need to give which URL that we need to ping and test. I'm just going to give this URL, the application which we .NET Core application which we created, and it's asking whether the path dependent request. For example, do we need to track the dependent request? For example, if you are opening an application where your JavaScript is involved, images involved, or if there is any PDF files, anything is involved in the same page, in the same URL, then it also has to be tracked, right? That all defines the performance of an application altogether. It's not only about the specific page. What are the components, dependent requests involved within that application that is required. That's why we are going to do this. Then whether we need to do some retirement availability of the test failures as well. Then we need to define what is the test frequency. How many times we need to hit and what frequency we need to hit it, between the 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes. This frequency we can define it over here. And the more important thing is location. As I said earlier, it is not record that your application is accessed in only one location. It can be accessed from anywhere because we are in a cloud world, right? Everything we get in our hand, mobile, and the laptop. You don't have to go anywhere, and it is all accessible. So it is recommended to use the minimum 5 location, and if you want anything else, you can use something like that. The next one is success criteria. So you need to define the criteria. As here comes the test plan, right? You need to define the criteria. What is the test timeout it has to be, and what is the response status that you're expecting for this. And if there is any content should match, then you can give all this. If all it matches, then it is success criteria. If you reduce the seconds, or if you suppose if you expect the tab should respond within 60 seconds, you can just set it like that. Then that should return 60. Else we will get a failure. And the next one is alerts. okay, we are tracking this, then we run in the system. Then how do we know that if there is any error or there is any success? That we can create alerts as well, so that it alerts the user. Sales you need to come and check every time. So you can create the alerts as well. So I will show you how to get into that alerts. Now let's create a test plan. Yeah, our availability test is created. Now it should start running. See, this is the one which I have already created. If you look at this, I have chosen five locations, right? This is my previous test. It is success from Central US, East US, North, South Central, then multiple other locations like West US and all. It is success from different locations. All the response time is within 1 second, I guess, because it's all within 1000 milliseconds. Suppose if your application has to respond in a shorter time, you can define it in the success criteria. That's how it comes. Then you can refresh this page to get the results frequently. Yeah, I have started to get the result for this also. It is tested now for this 4 location. This 1 location is pending, and the application is accessible from all the places. And if you see, it will keep on testing our application. I have got all the things success. Here's the 2 different charts that you can look at it. Either it's a line chart or a plotted chart, and this is the another chart that you get. It will give you each dot will give you from where application success. If you want to drill down more, you can also do that. It will give you what is the request it is given and from where, what is the response, everything you can get. So the App Insights is a great tool to do all these things. Okay, now we have seen how we can achieve this in App Insights. Let's get a look at this DevOps as well. So as I said earlier, in this test plan, you should be able to find an option called a load test at the bottom, but you will not find this in near future. It's going to be removed and duplicated. So that's a but however, since if you are using it just before you get removed, let me show you how it was so that you can know how easy that it was earlier. So as we discussed, so here is a different type of testing, either Visual Studio or HTTP or key-based test or URL-based test. You can configure all these kind of tests. So now I'm just going to give the URL-based test and again some name. And we can define what method that we need to test, because every web app is related to some methods, right? Even if it is file, it's a certificate method. Then you can define the headers and the parameters. Then just click the save. Saying that I don't have any parameter to add, so I just leave as it is. Yeah, here I have it. Okay. For some reason that is not creating. Okay, fine. So here I have already created one test, and if I want to run the test, it is not running automatically, so we need to run whenever we want. And if you look at this, so my app that I have created a test plan, and it has run for 120 seconds with the 120 users, 25 users along with 25 users. That's the power of this one. So we can test with multiple users as well. I'm a single user, and now I'm testing it along with 25 users. So it is all automated. You just need to configure the things. I have just initiated the test again, so let's see how it behaves. So it will give you all the scenarios which you discussed, like performance, throughput, if there is any errors, all these scenarios you should be able to get it. It is running, so it will take a few seconds, I guess. Okay. Yeah, it is running my previous test. Let's look at our earlier test, which is already run. So if you look at this chart, it has our average response time is 47 milliseconds, and the user load is 25 users, and we have the request so fast, right? Consider if you have multiple users, 1,000 to 2,000 users, you definitely you don't have any way to test this out. That's why we are going to do this kind of automations, like either earlier in DevOps, and now going forward we'll be doing the same in using the App Insights or any other suggested tools. So hope you have gained some knowledge in how to do the performance or testing or load testing. So using this App Insights and the DevOps. So if you have any other questions, so you can ask in Q&A section. So once again, I would like to extend my thanks to the sponsors and the organizers for organizing this great event. Thank you all.